And let's go ahead and open this up full screen because this is a pretty crazy story, man. And I want to share this with you guys, and so you can understand kind of what's going on here and how this is more than likely going to evolve. What we have here is, let's go down to the email from Russell David Wallace. Oh, I'm sorry. Russell David Willard of the Attorney General's office. I don't know if he's still there or not. Doesn't really matter. But basically, he sent me an email last February 2024. Basically telling me that, hey man, we're not going to really fuck with your complaints anymore. And we're just going to ignore them without any cause or reason. They're just not going to let me file complaints anymore. I've been banned from using the Attorney General's mediation platform. And just in case you didn't know, the Attorney General is the one that upholds the Georgia open records laws. And I put this little clip here, and let's watch this together. Let me turn on the desktop audio capture so you can hear what's being said. I can give you a little backstory on it.
The law needs to mean something. If we're going to have the law, it needs to mean something, and we are investigating and seeing what happened.
Carr's office directed the GBI to open a criminal investigation after Channel 2 and the AJC revealed text messages by Jenna Garland, then Mayor Reed's press secretary. In those messages obtained by Channel 2, Garland told a subordinate how to respond to Channel 2's request for water billing records that were potentially embarrassing to city officials. Be as unhelpful as possible, drag this out as long as possible, and provide information in the most confusing format available. Without commenting on the specifics of the Atlanta investigation, Carr told me,
our office has a long bipartisan history of ensuring openness and transparency in government.
Well, that's
the
a
law
fucking
needs
lie.
to mean something. If we're going to...
That's a fucking lie. In fact, it's such a lie that Jenna Garland is the only one who's ever been prosecuted by Chris Carr in the Attorney General's office. Most complaints go ignored. No one gets prosecuted. Nothing happens. How do I know that? Hold tight. I'll tell you all about it. So, why do I say that the Attorney General's office is the only one who can uphold the open records laws? Well, that's partially true. It's actually the Attorney General's office and district attorneys and courts. However, we can eliminate district attorneys because last year alone in 2024, Fannie Willis, the district attorney of Fulton County, was sued over open records violations. So was Athens district attorney Deborah Gonzalez. Both of them were successfully sued over open records violations. So that really does eliminate the district attorneys from the equation because they can't even be trusted. So it just really does leave Chris Carr in the Attorney General's office and the courts. Now, I'm not willing to pay $300 every time an agency violates the Open Records Act, which is the fee for filing a complaint in Superior Court against the agency that violates the Open Records Act. It's much easier to file a complaint with the Attorney General's office and have them enforce the law, which is what they're supposed to do. But as you can see, I've been banned from all that. And of course, this is an email I received years ago from Kristen Settlemeyer. And boy, she is pissed off at me. All of them are. In fact, this is just one video of many that I posted on. That's Kristen Settlemeyer right there in the middle. And this is Robin Gay of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And it was over a case that the Atlanta Police Department and multiple other agencies were giving me a really hard time on getting open records on. But let's not get hung up on a lot of the details here. This is really important, and the reason it's important is because the Attorney General is not transparent at all. Chris Carr in that video is just saying shit that people want to hear. He doesn't actually abide by his words. He doesn't actually do shit as far as open records violations. I have thousands at this point of open records violations. I have filed over 100 Attorney General complaints. But without getting too hysterical and too dramatical about all of this, I just want to kind of break down the key points here and where all of this stands as of today. Now, I may at some point start an open records lawsuit GoFundMe where you guys can contribute and help me out with the legal fund here. But as of now, I'm okay. You guys have really helped me out a lot, and watching my videos, liking the videos, sharing them, and subscribing really helps me fight these kind of battles. So thank you for that. So one thing I wanted to do, because over the past year I haven't been getting any type of response back from the Attorney General's office on my complaints. And my complaints are fairly elaborate. They're concise, they're factual, they're based on actual emails that I've received from the agencies. It's all proof. There's no gaslighting, no lying, no manipulating the facts, none of that shit. It's all just absolute facts. What I wanted to do was I want to request all complaints to the Attorney General's office over a 3-year period. And they responded. Let me open this up a little bit bigger here so you can read it actually. Okay, there we go. And they responded to my request with this email. Thank you for contacting the Georgia Department of Law. By the way, the Attorney General's office is the top law agency in the state of Georgia. They go on to say, thank you for contacting the Georgia Department of Law, keyword here, law, and regarding my open records request. For request number 1, we are providing you with compiled spreadsheets of open government complaints that allege possible violations of Georgia Open Records Act and or Open Meetings Act for the requested timeframe. Please note that these spreadsheets do not include complaints involving state agencies, which is kind of weird. I don't even know what the hell that means, but because there's plenty of state agencies listed in these documents. But it goes on to say these spreadsheets do not include any complaints submitted by you, which is wild to me because there actually are some, but the cutoff was February 23rd, 2024. Our office ended the mediation process for your previous and any future submissions. Basically, they're deleting all of my complaints and they're not interested in upholding the law. Additionally, we closed any pending mediation requests received from you, as stated in the email correspondence from Russ Willard on February 23rd, 2024. Now, I never received this, well, I did receive the email. However, I have not used that email account on ProtonMail since around that time frame. So I never seen the email. Basically, I've been filing complaints with the Attorney General's office for the past year and a half that have been getting deleted, that I put a lot of time into, a lot of research, a lot of email correspondence, and they've just been getting deleted, which is extremely frustrating, by the way. And they sent me these 3 spreadsheets, and we'll get into that here in a second, but I just wanted to let you know that here are all the complaints that I filed with the Attorney General. It's a screenshot of my email. I will show you the real email. These are all of the complaints that I filed with the Attorney General's office. It goes all the way back to June 2nd, 2022, which there actually are more. I just don't think that, I think I deleted them early on, not really realizing why these would be important to keep. So I started keeping them. So getting down to the request that I made for all the complaints for 3 years, one thing I did was I wanted to compile a list of all of the complaints filed by the same person more than 10 times to see kind of where I stand in the mix of all this. I don't know who this person is, but he does a lot of damn open records complaints, just like I do. And if we go down through here, Andrew Bone, don't know who that is. Bianca Motley Broom, have no idea. I don't know who any of these people are. I'm sure they run YouTube channels or they're part of a news agency or a news station, whatever the case may be. And as we go down through here, we will find me, yours truly. And these are just some of the complaints I filed. And this is kind of wild because out of 100 complaints, this is all there is. But, we'll get more into that later. I've made multiple spreadsheets and documents that you can download from this page. I'll put a link right at the very front of the description and in the pinned comment so you can go and download these. If you're looking at it on a mobile phone, you can actually view these on your phone. These CSV files are very extensive. They have all the complaints in detail. So, of course, when they sent me that, I requested the email from Willard, and I was baffled that someone at the Attorney General's office actually has the power to invoke viewpoint discrimination and violate the First Amendment by not allowing me to take advantage of what everyone else can take advantage of, which is one of the reasons why I requested 3 years of complaints, to see where I sit in the mix and how many complaints they've taken and how many people have been prosecuted. None. Zero. The Attorney General has not prosecuted anyone outside of Jenna Garland. So when Willard, let me go back up here and make sure I got his name right. Russell D. Willard. Yeah, Russell D. Willard. So once I got that, when I did the request and they sent that response telling me that all of my communications, my complaints are going to be ignored, I asked them for the email he sent me because I've never seen it, because I haven't used that Proton mail address in a long time. And they sent it to me, and I was kind of baffled. But, I responded, fascinating, nothing like a little viewpoint discrimination and prior restraint. And for those of you who don't know what prior restraint is, it is any action taken by a public servant, government official, that prevents you from taking an action, whether it be criticizing them, filing complaints, or whatever. In this case, filing complaints and also criticizing them. So once I got that email, I immediately filed a complaint with the Georgia State Bar, because this is pretty damn egregious. And you can go on the website. I'm going to put a link down below to this website. You can actually go and read all this yourself. I'm not going to go through every bit of this word for word, but this is the receipt from the State Bar of Georgia, and they're going to look into it. I don't know. We'll see. I'll update you and let you know exactly what happened, if anything happened at all. And then that led me to file a complaint to the Attorney General, ironically, the same place where all this started, as there was no reason given as to why they're banning me from filing complaints or taking advantage of the mediation process, which is pretty crazy. Not even a single word in any of this about why they don't want to accept my complaints. Perhaps they're too advanced for them. Maybe they can't read them because They're just low-level, pigeon-headed clowns that have a real big problem deciphering emails that make any kind of sense at all, that are chronologically detailed and factually based, which all of my complaints are factually based. In fact, if anyone who goes through here and reads any of these complaints finds any type of frivolous complaint or anything that's not factual, or if you need missing pieces for me to prove that what I'm complaining about is factual, just let me know. Email me, madvideos@gmail.com. I'll send you whatever. But for the scope of all this, that's way too much to try to put on one page, on one website. And yes, this is a very long ordeal here. We're going all the way down through here, through all of my complaints. If you go back up and read the complaints from others, they're very short. Some of them are down to like one sentence, and they don't really give a lot of context about the issue at hand. Me, I like to put all of the email communications, everything that happened in the request, and make the Attorney General's job a lot easier for them to enforce the Open Records Act. And if we go all the way down through here, we'll see, this is not all of them, by the way. I really simply got absolutely tired. It took me 4 hours to make this page, probably more than that actually. But I got all the way down to 50 of my complaints, and that was it. I was just done. I'm sorry, 51. Maybe 52? No, 51. And then we get down to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, where the Attorney General's office claims that they represent the GBI, so they can't accept any mediation for the GBI, which is wild to me, because it's like the government has contracted the government to fight me using my tax dollars to fight me with, which doesn't even make any kind of sense whatsoever. And anyone who's been around my channel for any length of time by now have heard the phone calls with me in the GBI and them admitting that they suck really bad and they're in complete violation of so many open records violations. It's ridiculous. This is old, by the way. The ones that I have now, I have 2 open records requests with the GBI. One's 5 months old, one's 6 months old. No correspondence, no nothing. You know why that is? Because they can get away with it, and there's no one to hold them accountable. I'm actually going to have to file a civil complaint against them to compel them to follow the Georgia Open Records Act, which is a law. 1874 outlines this law, making it a misdemeanor up to $1,000 in fines for each offense. The GBI has racked up tens of thousands of dollars in fines over the years with me, as you can see here. But I just wanted to make this quick video to kind of outline what this page means. There's a lot here to go through. And I will tell you this, if you read this entire page, all of the complaints from the CSV files and all of my complaints, you will pretty much become an open records expert by going through all of this. There are multiple videos on this. I've exposed them on multiple levels, and I'm going to continue to do so. Whether or not I'm going to file a lawsuit against the Attorney General's office is yet to be seen. I don't want to talk too much about that because I have plans. But right now I'm kind of going through some phases, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But for now, just know that Carr is a clown, man. He's a complete joke. He doesn't upload the open records laws. Where are the open records laws? Where can you find them? On the Office of the Attorney General's website. If you click on law, you can actually go and find the open records law here, and it will just download it. But if we click on that, we open it up and we go to We'll go all the way down to the bottom. And I'll just read 501874. Right here. Penalty for violations procedure for commencement of prosecution. Any person or entity knowingly and willfully violating the provisions of this article by failing or refusing to provide access to records not subject to exemption from this article by knowingly and willingly, they even say it twice, failing or refusing to provide access to such records within the time limit set forth in this article, which is 72 hours. And by the way, the 72 hours is 72 hours to produce records. The law actually says shall produce. We'll look at that here in just a second so you can just be leveled up just a little bit more. And, knowingly and willingly frustrating or attempting to frustrate the access to records by intentionally making records difficult to obtain or review shall be guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction shall be punished by a fine not to exceed $1,000 for the first violation. Alternatively, a civil penalty may be imposed by the court in any civil action brought pursuant to this article against any person who negligently violates the terms of this article in an amount not to exceed $1,000 for the first violation. A civil penalty or criminal fine not to exceed $2,500 per violation may be imposed for each additional violation that the violator commits within a 12-month period of the date the first penalty or fine was imposed. But let's go back because I want to cover a very critical part of this, which is 501871 A1A. Agency shall produce. This is the key word here. Shall produce. Doesn't say anything about an automated response. Someone saying, hey, we got your request. We're working on it. It says agencies shall produce for inspection all records responsive to a request within a reasonable amount of time not to exceed 3 business days. This is very critical because a lot of agencies, damn near all of them, will rely on an automated message from their little goofy little portal that they set up to notify you that, hey, we got your request. We're working on it. No, that's not what the law says. The law is very specific. It says agencies shall produce. That is like the biggest thing to me, and you'd be surprised at how many agencies gaslight this, distort it to fit their own little internal policy. Policy does not override this law. This is fucking law. And any agency that does not follow this law is guilty of 501874. And anyone who signs off on any open records request is guilty of 501874. This is the biggest miss in everything. And the Attorney General don't do shit. They don't do shit. They don't do nothing about it. They just take complaints. If it's too big for them to deal with, well, they'll just tell you to go fuck yourself because they're not interested in upholding the law. And I hate to be so frank about it and all that, but the truth is that's where things are. And then we got assholes like this completely banning me from taking advantage of a program that all citizens have access to is ridiculous with no just reason or no justifiable cause to eliminate me from this process. So my only thing now is I have to file civil complaints, which cost a lot of money to do. And I'm going to do that. Don't worry. I have a couple of them in the works right now. And the Attorney General is one of them, Mr. Carr. I'm going to get you, sir, in front of a federal judge and override your sovereign immunity because you are in absolute violation of the law, and you're supposed to be the top law agent of the state of Georgia, which is hilarious to me. And by the way, everyone, this guy, this asshole is running for governor of Georgia. Listen, man, I'm not into politics, but based on everything I just showed you and have told you about, no one should be voting for this guy. In fact, this guy should be prosecuted for being negligent in doing his job. But hey, man, that's not my thing. My goal right now is to work towards getting him in front of that federal judge and holding him accountable for his activities and for all these crazy ass emails. And I don't know who sent this email right here. It was signed off the Open Records Department. It wasn't signed off by an actual person. But we're going to find out who this individual is. I haven't put too much effort into finding out who it is because it doesn't really matter. The evidence is in the email that was sent to me by Willard, this guy. This is where everything is going to actually point back to. And we'll see what the state bar says. I don't know. I really don't think this guy has any power at all, zero, to eliminate and isolate me from using the mediation process that the Attorney General offers. And it really frustrates me and pisses me off that they've been deleting all of my complaints. Guys, if you go down to the end of this page, you will see all the complaints that they've deleted. These are very elaborate, time-consuming complaints that have took me. Each one of these complaints takes hours to put together, to put all the emails together, all the correspondence, the request, the response, the dates, the times, the people, the names, identifying everyone involved takes a lot of time. And for them to delete my fucking complaints really bothers me a lot. And I hope it bothers 6 jurors in a federal court, because that's more than likely where we're all going to end up at. So, Chris Carr, if you're watching this video, dude, you may want to spare yourself the embarrassment, because I promise you this. Whether or not I'll win or lose, the case gets dismissed, I'm going to spend the $400 to do it. And I'm going to be at the courthouse with cameras filming you. And I'm going to try to get permission to film in the courtroom. However, I know a federal judge will never have that. But I will be outside of the damn courthouse, son. And I'm going to be asking you questions. Do you really want that kind of embarrassment? You probably, you shouldn't. Because if you look at my complaints, you'll see they're very well composed. There are no frivolous complaints in here at all. All of this is factual based. Every single fucking word. Anyway, to everyone else, don't lose hope. Don't give up. Don't let the Attorney General bully you and intimidate you into not filing complaints, and hold them accountable. Don't let them scare you off. Don't let any agency scare you off. Don't let any agency make you think that there's no other way to hold them accountable, because there's tons of ways. Unfortunately, some of these ways is going to cost me money, but hey, if we win, we get the money back. And not only that, true accountability will be delivered. My ending note is don't vote for Chris Carr. If you have any common sense at all, based on everything I just showed you, don't vote for this idiot. He's a politician. He's only on TV and on YouTube and on social media telling people things they want to hear. He doesn't mean any of it. Watch this video clip again. The law must mean something, huh? That's what he said. That's what he said. I didn't say that. He said that. Let's go back and hear him say it one more time.
The law needs to mean something.
That's right, Mr. Carr. The law needs to mean something, but to you, it don't mean shit. And I'm going to prove, actually, I've already proven that, but I want a federal judge to tell you to your face that you are a dishonest liar. That's what you are. You're not doing shit about any type of open records violations. These are laws that your agency, your office is supposed to uphold, clown. To everyone else, peace and love, y'all. Catch you next video.